everyone, my name is Marian Rodriguez, and this is my final project presentation for my Intro to Humanities class with Dr. Rink. For this project, I chose to create an artwork inspired by the painting The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali. Dali is one of the most famous surrealist artists of the 20th century. He was born in 1904 in a small town outside of Barcelona. He died in 1989 in his hometown in Spain. This painting was created in 1931 and it is oil on canvas. It measures 9.5 by 13 inches and it is exposed at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. The fluidity of time is the theme of the painting, with three melting watches located as the focal points. Dali based the landscape observed in the background of this painting on the cliffs from his home region in Catalonia. In order to create this painting, Dali was inspired by a surrealist perception of the converted cheese melting in the sun. The reason why I chose The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali to serve as inspiration for my own artwork is because I've always been a fan of Dali and the surrealist movement in general. After thinking about what I wanted to do for my project and looking at several surrealist artworks, I decided to go to the beach and take a picture of the sunset. Using photography as my medium, the materials that I used for this project were my camera and two editing tools called Snapseed, which is an app, and an editing program called Polar. So I went to the beach with my dog and I took a picture of the sunset. The picture was very realistic, which I expected it to be, so I knew that I had to use my imagination in order to distort it. My overall intention was to distort the picture so that it would reflect my perception of time in a surrealistic way. I wanted to include a sunset and a sunrise in my artwork, since these two moments mark the beginning and the end of the day for sunlight purposes. I went back home and the first thing that I did was modify the perspective by inclining the horizon line. This created the sensation of linear movement in the clouds, as if they were passing by and taking the day with them. I also extended the image by adding more palm trees. Lastly, I adjust the contrast of the picture in order to make the sunset the focal point. Then I modified the saturation and warmth in order to emphasize the sunset a little bit more. The linear transition of the clouds was also highlighted in the process. After that, I made sure that the horizon line was properly distorted and I adjusted the brightness of the palm trees a little bit more in order to highlight the silhouette. All of the previous steps were done on my phone using an app called Snapseed. After that, I transferred the picture to my computer and I started working on a program called Polar, which is similar to Photoshop but it is easier to use. I added a mirroring effect to the image and I modified the direction of the clouds a little bit more in order to create the illusion of a triangle. This added a surrealist touch to the picture. Then I started working on different layers in order to add more suns to the right side of the picture. This created an ascending motion, which simulates the sunrise. Lastly, I distorted the horizon line again by adding more depth to it. This created a fisheye effect that I think added the final surrealist touch to the picture. This is the final result for the artwork that I chose to create for this project. I decided to title it The Sunset, since this beautiful moment of the day served as inspiration for my project. This piece is realist because it incorporates elements of the subconscious mind, such as the distorted horizon lines and the presence of multiple sounds at the same time that serve as a focal point. Here's a comparison of the two pieces side by side. We can appreciate distortion in both artworks and the sensation of movement created by defined and implied lines. In Dali's painting, the horizon line is well defined, but the depth created by implied lines gives a sensation of movement in the water. In my artwork, the horizon line is completely distorted, but the defined and implied lines observed in the clouds also simulate motion. In Dali's piece, we can appreciate time being represented by the melting watches, while in my piece, the passage of time is represented by the sunset in the left side of the picture and the sunrise on the right side. Lastly, the selection of cool hues in Dali's painting give a melancholic tone to the painting, while the warmer hues displayed in my artwork provoke a calmer sensation, inviting the audience to reflect on the passage of time. Both pieces are focused on the same social angle, memory and nature. Nature because both artworks reflect a natural landscape, and memory because they compare how we see time through nature and how we see it in our own lives. Conclusively, Surrealism aims to expose the unconscious mind. It was strongly influenced by psychoanalysis and the works of Sigmund Freud. Dali was a pioneer of the Surrealist movement, applying the Surrealist concept to everything he did. The main success that I had in this project was that I really liked the artwork that I created because it combines a natural scene that is very realistic, especially because it was a photograph, with surrealist elements, creating an abstract artwork. The problems that I had include that it took me a lot of time to photograph the perfect sunset because this picture was taken on a rainy week, where most days were cloudy. And it also took me a lot of time to learn how to use the editing tools. One of the problems that I had was I was not able to add all of the surrealist elements that I wanted to because I didn't know how to create those effects. I wanted to divide my artwork into 24 pieces, one per each hour of the day, but I could not find a way to do it without changing the overall picture. The lessons that I learned during this project include that surrealist artworks are very hard to create because the concepts of surrealism and the unconscious mind are very abstract. Trying to create an artwork inspired by a great artist makes you appreciate his works even more because one realizes how difficult it is to come up with creative ideas. Working on this project made me want to continue working on my artworks and create more pieces with surrealist elements, since I find this movement very inspiring. Here are the references that I used for my project. I hope everyone enjoyed.